The human brain is an odd thing. Your memories, mostly from your childhood, are vague and ambiguous. Is what you remember even real? Could it be that you've manufactured your childhood memories from the stories your parents tell you about yourself? Think about it for a second. Do you actually remember? For me, I don't think I do. Why? Well, my story, the story I'm telling, will explain why. I've had this reoccurring dream since I was a child, maybe around 8. I can't exactly recall when it started. This dream is, well, simple. I'm standing in the middle of a desert, alone, isolated from humanity. It's always daytime when I come here, and I say when I come here because this is where I always am in my dream. It's really hot. There's beads of sweat trickling down my forehead. The sweat lingers for a minute at the top of my nose and drops onto the sand. It's so quiet that I can hear the sizzling sound of my sweat as it hits the scorching earth. I look down and I see that I'm standing there barefoot. Not just barefoot, but completely nude. But the sand isn't burning me. I just stand there in isolated silence for the entire dream. That is, until the end. A giant wave, yes, a giant wave in the middle of the desert comes out of nowhere. I try to run from it, but I'm firmly planted into the ground and I can't move. The wave hits me with such force, I swear I can feel it. I could feel the water going into my nose, my mouth, my ears. And then suddenly, darkness. I'm laying there. I don't know if I'm in my bed or if I'm somewhere else. There's a cloth of some sort covering my entire body. I think I'm dead, but I could hear my heart beating. Steady, healthy beat. I could feel the blood coursing through my veins. Except I'm not breathing. I take one giant gulp of breath in, and I wake up. It's the exact same every time. I know what to expect, when to expect it, but I can't control the dream. Now I know what you're thinking. Go see a psychiatrist. You don't think I've tried? Of course I have, and that is why I've been prescribed everything from sleeping pills to antidepressant medications. None have helped. And you want to know something else that's odd? I don't dream, except for that dream. And sometimes I don't think this dream is even a dream. I think it's real, but I have to gather my composure and tell myself that I'm just paranoid. Right? I'm a single 30-some-year-old woman with no husband, no kids, so yes, it is possible that I might be slightly depressed, but I could assure you that I'm not crazy. Something happened to me a year ago, and ever since then, I'd never been the same. I was driving home from the grocery store when I fell asleep at the wheel. I don't know why, I don't know how. I just suddenly got extremely tired and I couldn't keep my eyes open, and I blacked out. When I opened my eyes, I was, where else but in the desert. The exact same desert I had seen many times in my dream. Except this time it was different. I was inside a tube filled with liquid, like a fetus. I freaked out and started touching my body to see if I was still an adult human. Thankfully I was, not that it made me feel any better. I was in so much shock when I first opened my eyes that I didn't notice what was around me. I, floating in this glass jar filled with a mysterious liquid, could barely see what was out in the desert, but as I squinted, I could not believe what I saw. I saw millions, if not billions, of tubes like the one I was in. There were people in them, strangers, small, medium, big, female, male, young, old, people of all sorts of different colors. And I immediately got nauseous. I stuck my face to the glass to try to get a better look at these strangers, and all of their eyes were closed. They looked dead. I closed my eyes and kept repeating over and over again, "This isn't real. This isn't real." I probably said it 100 times, but I still felt the liquid caressing my body. I started to cry, not that anyone or anything would have noticed, and I frantically started punching the glass, but liquid makes the force of movement much slower. I had no success, and it was then that I realized there were wires sticking out of my head. They were inside my skull, attached to my brain, I would assume. I touched them gently and shuddered. Chills ran down my spine. I didn't know what to think. Can I rip these out? Will this kill me? Would it even matter? I'm probably already dead. So I said screw it, and I ripped the wires out of my skull. It hurt. Crimson red filled my entire tube. I thought, this is when I die, just accept it. And so I floated there, waiting for the darkness, but then suddenly I heard a noise. I looked up, but I didn't see anything. I woke up and I saw a glimmer of light shining through. And that's when I realized that the latch closing the tube had opened itself at the top. I popped my bloody head out, and there it was, that hot sun beating on my face. I'd never been so happy to breathe in air. That is, until I started choking on it. I was gasping and coughing and gasping and coughing, and it was like my lungs had never breathed air before. After a good 2 minutes of pain, my lungs started working again. I plunged out of the tube onto the hot sand, and that sizzling sound filled my ears. Except for this time, I could feel the heat. I could feel the hot sand against my skin. It felt like a freshly heated griddle against my body. This isn't real. This is a dream. I'm dead, just go. I got up, burned, bloody and naked, and I started running towards the closest tube. I didn't know who was in there, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get the hell out of there. I knocked on the glass, screaming and crying, please, wake up. But nothing. I sat down on the sand in front of the stranger's tube, hopeless. I put my face into my palms and started bawling. And this is what my dreams had been warning me about. That I'm going to die one day. I'm going to end up in my own hell. And this is it. But then something came over me. I don't know what it was, but I looked up at the stranger in the tube. I felt that there was something more to this place. Not that I'm special or anything, but that I was meant to come here. All those nights waking up, wondering what the hell this dream meant, led me to this point. There must be a deeper meaning to this. I stood up, wiped the mixture of blood and tears from my face, and climbed onto the top of the tube. I started pulling at the latch as hard as I could, but it would not budge. Not one bit. I sighed, and as I was about to jump off, I saw the circular impression at the top of the tube. I touched it. Nothing. I pushed it, and it opened. It opened just enough for me to stick my arm through. What the hell? I stuck my arm in and swished it around, trying to feel for the wires. The top of the tube is black, so I couldn't see where my hand was going. I felt something, and so I grabbed it. Now I think it was a stranger's shoulders. As my skin touched his, I felt the surge of electromagnetic energy. My muscles started cramping up, and I felt my entire body stiffen. I couldn't control myself. My eyes began rolling into the back of my head, and I heard a loud sound, an alarm-like sound, and it didn't stop. I wasn't able to take my hands off the stranger. I was stuck there. I began to freak out, and then I saw it. I knew his name. He lived in Moscow, Russia, and I saw his life through my eyes. I knew his every thought, his every move. Things I didn't want to see. I saw. And I started screaming, but no words came out, just cries of despair. When the vision of his life finally stopped, I flew about 100 feet and landed in the sand. The loud sound was still going. It was deafening at this point. The life had just been drained out of me, and I lay there gasping for air, my mind racing a mile a minute. My muscles were still cramped, and I could feel the air escaping my lungs. I started going in and out of consciousness. I was groggy, but I heard inaudible sounds coming from around me. It sounded like people, real humans, and I felt relief for a brief moment, like I was going to be okay. I felt them. There was definitely more than one, and they grabbed me. They were carrying me. Thank God they were taking me to get help. Then I felt my body get dunked back into the mysterious liquid, and that's when I realized, nope, I'm not going to be okay. Before I completely blacked out, I heard the latch above me close and lock, and then pitch black. The next thing I remember, I woke up and I saw one of my girlfriends, a strange man, and two strange women standing there staring at me. I was so confused. My friend started tearing up, but I had no time for emotions. She started whimpering. I can't believe it, I immediately cut her off. What? What are you talking about? I need to talk to the police. I need to talk to someone. Calm down. You're in good hands. Do you know where you are? The strange man came closer to me, and that's when I saw the name tag, Doctor. I realized I was at a hospital. The hospital? I said reluctantly. As confused as I was relieved. He smiled. Yes, you've been in a coma for 2 months. You're in a bad crash, but you're going to be okay. We're just glad to have you back with us. Almost lost you a couple times. Your lungs collapsed. You had burns all over your body and severe swelling in the brain. And we thought there might be a good possibility that you were going to be paralyzed for the rest of your life, but looks like you might be fine. Thanks. I didn't know what to say. I just wanted to go home. Let's fill out the paperwork and we'll see if we can get you out of here, the doctor said as he waved for the two nurses to follow him out of the room. My friend held my hand and asked, "Promise me you'll take care of yourself?" Yeah, I looked at her. Hey, thanks for being here. Oh my God, of course. The others visited you too, but you weren't awake. Guess I came on a good day. She smiled. I looked around my room. There were flowers, cards, chocolates, and balloons everywhere. I'm not gonna lie, it felt good to know that people still cared about me. I was relieved that I was okay, but more so that I was no longer in that tube in the desert. Now, yes, this might just be another one of those I was in a coma and I saw some crazy crap because my mind was tripping for 2 months kind of story. But I honestly laughed when I got home from the hospital. There was just one little thing I tried to explain away, but I just couldn't. It always nudges at me. And so recently, about a week ago, I went onto Facebook and searched for the stranger's name that I had seen in the desert, keeping it anonymous for the sake of the person's privacy. I was pretty confident I wouldn't find anything, but there was a glimmer of doubt, and so I wanted to be 100% sure. As the browser loaded, I anxiously watched the screen. The results popped up. I didn't recognize any of the faces, thank God. As I was about to exit Facebook, I saw that there were 2 more profiles that I needed to scroll down to see. My hands shaking, I began to scroll. The first face? Nope. I felt slightly better. Now down to the last profile. Nope. So much relief. But wait, the face in the last profile. It looked familiar. It wasn't him, but I stared at it for a minute. And then I felt my stomach drop. I've seen this face. It's his kid. I clicked on the profile and quickly clicked through the pictures he had available to the public, and there they were. Pictures of that stranger's face, although he was no longer a stranger to me, but I was to him. I kept clicking through. That's his wife. That's his house. That's the restaurant he always eats at on Fridays. Holy crap. I slammed my laptop shut. Denial. I'd been in denial for a year. And that's why I'm writing this. I can't explain to you why it happened to me and not you. But it happened. Believe me, don't believe me, I don't care. All I could say is that I've come to understand that my time in the desert was real. It was not a figment of my imagination, but a genuine experience. I don't know what I discovered, but what I believe is that the lives we're living right now are fabricated lies. The experiences we perceive as ours aren't ours at all. We're just one of billions of strangers trapped in a tube, part of a bigger experiment, something more mysterious than any of us could understand.